happen if your husband said, honey, let's try something a little bit different. I would like you to tie me up, and I want you to spank me, and I'd like you to whip me. And by the way, while you're doing that, I want you to be dressed in leather. Now, probably, I think you would think that your husband had just blown his cork or something like that.
Late.
Before you answer what your attitude would be, I want you to meet our guests today. This is Mistress Rose and Mistress Kelly. And I must say that when they came in, there was more of a stir than just about any guests we've had in a long time. These women are known as dominant women, and they say there is nothing like a little sexual discipline to heighten sexual arousal. Mistress Rose, we are going to try and understand what are you saying about this, and we are going to need, I think, a lot of vocabulary lessons and things like that along the way. You are called a mistress?
Right, right. Dominant woman or mistress.
Dominant woman or mistress. Right. Is there any other name for that?
A top, also called a top.
A top?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same as a dominatrix? Dominatrix,
right. There's a lot of terminology for women who take the aggressive or the assertive role in sexuality. And there's a lot of us out there. You might be surprised to know that all women are not submissive. There are many, many women who have very aggressive and assertive and dominant feelings, but because society doesn't allow us to experience those or express them, most women are taught just to let them inside and keep them inside. I was married for 14 years, as a matter of fact. My husband never said anything to me like, do that. In fact, my sex life was very dull with my husband. I was very unhappily married because I was forced into a submissive role, which didn't fit for me at all. I've been dominant now for about 10 years, and it's much more fun.
Okay, what does, I got a million questions,
Sure.
Like how did you go from a Miss Betty Crocker to whatever it is that you're doing?
I was an Encino housewife, believe it or not.
An Encino housewife.
Right.
All right, but what goes on? When you say dominant, what are you really doing?
Basically, it is that a woman takes control of her own sexuality. In other words, that what I do sexually, I do because I want to do it, not because I have to do it to please a man. In fact, I look for men who want to please me.
Does this turn you on to...
Definitely. It's a lot more fun to have sex when I want it and the way I want to have it and with whom I want to have it. I never have to say, not tonight, honey, you know, to my husband or my lover. It's only when I want to. And most men who are submissive men are very happy to have that happen. They're very excited to have a woman who was willing to take charge.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were some submissive men in the audience right now who would love nothing more than to sit right here by my feet and play with my boots and kiss my feet. But they wouldn't have the nerve to do it in public. You see, but if we were alone, I could get some of these guys to do just that.
Huh. You were in an Encino housewife.
Right.
A little bit about you, Mistress Kelly?
I love to dominate men. Yes, I was indoctrinated, just like everyone else in our society. And I had to play the feminine woman most of my life. And I was wondering why I was miserable and unhappy. I was unhappily married. Then I was a dancer for many years. And I played the ultra-feminine role. Then I was hired to do videos as an actress. And once I got that into my blood, I said, oh, wait a minute. This feels good. You know, I like this. So I found the other side of myself, the aggressive side. And with me, it is not sex because I'm celibate. I have not had sex for 10 years. With me, it is aggression, authority. I make the man crawl. I make the man do what I want. I make him listen to me. I humiliate the man. I put the man in his place where he belongs.
Why?
Because men are inferior to women. Women are the goddesses. The woman is the goddess. Woman is supreme. Man should obey the woman.
Hi, I'm married.
Answer to that, right?
But I can be aggressive, but I wouldn't want to cause anyone pain. How can you cause someone
They're
pain?
giving you pain, aren't they?
No.
When a man does sex, is it for your pleasure? Do you ever have an orgasm?
Mother,
no,
don't
it's always for him. He has the orgasm. When does the woman have an orgasm? Okay. It's always for him. When he's finished, sex is finished.
Do you like pain? Do you enjoy giving pain?
Do I like pain? I've had pain for 20 years from men.
Physical pain. Physical pain.
All kind, mental, physical, emotional. I've been beaten up by men. I've been raped. I've been hurt. I've been humiliated. That doesn't happen to me anymore because I've taken charge.
You practice celibacy, but do you have sex with your partners?
I've had one slave that I've had for the last 8 years, and yes, I have sex with him.
You have one slave and you have sex with him. We need an understanding, I guess, beyond what we're doing.
Okay.
Let me go through some things.
Sure.
Our producer says that, Rose, you have your nipples pierced.
That's right.
Okay. And also your labia pierced.
Yes, I have that too.
Okay. What is the purpose of having your
Okay.
nipples and your labia pierced?
Basically, it's a body decoration. It's more erotic. It's like enhancing your sexual parts. It's admitting that you have them, and it's a kind of a fun, secret thing to do. I got into piercing because I had my slave pierced. One of the things that I believe in is controlling male sexuality. I think the world has gotten far enough in the messes that it's in now because men's sexuality has been uncontrolled. That's why we have so much pregnancies and VD.
Forced pregnancies.
So what I did with my slave is I had his penis pierced. I had two.
Yeah.
I had two pierces put in his penis.
And they have chastity belts.
Yeah.
Wait. What do you what do you think? Did I miss something? All right, hold for. What do you think about penis piercing?
I think it'd be extremely painful.
I would think so. I saw you just go white. When she said that.
Well, you'd be surprised to know. Again, I think one of the things that the reason I came on this show, I must say, I'm really pleased to be here, is because there's so much misinformation and so much ignorance about other ways of sexuality that already exist out there. I didn't invent S&M, and neither did Kelly.
Let's get to some of the props that you use. Okay, we heard about the piercing. Would you like to show us some of the things that you use in a session?
I like whips. They're lots of fun. These are all made specially for me. And you can go out and get things in a tack shop, but these happen to be made out of rubber, and they're quite lovely, and they're very soft, and they can be used in a variety of ways. They can be used very softly, and they also can be used harder as well.
Rubber hurts more than leather.
Yeah, and they build up. It's a sensation. It's almost like a massage. You build up very slowly. You start very slowly, sensually all over the body, and then you can build up into stronger and stronger. And the person, if they're really into it, can take a lot more. And the more sexually aroused they become, the more they can take. Remember, the intent is not to maim somebody. The intent is not to bruise them to the point they're going to die, because these are your partners, your sex partners. So you take good care of them. It might look very bad, but remember, this is consenting. I never whip anybody who doesn't want to be whipped.
When we return, we're going to meet some of the male sexual slaves and the women who dominate them. Right now, Mistress La Mystique and her submissive man, Jean. And I'd like you to meet Mistress Jacqueline and her slave, Joseph. I guess we better start with Mistress Jacqueline. Why is this man on a leash?
Well, because my mother always told me to make sure my men don't get away, so I leash them up.
Oh, come on. Seriously, though. Is this the first time you've ever been on a leash?
Oh, no, I always take him out in a leash. It's kind of a symbolic thing.
Oh.
If you see, it says that he's the property of Mr. Jacqueline, so that way everybody knows who he belongs to.
But where do you take him, Jacqueline? I mean, do you really walk around do you live in New York?
Oh, no, I live in Hollywood.
Oh. Okay, that about
Now you know why, right?
Do you walk around in Hollywood with a man on a leash?
Well, only sometimes.
Outside, we're talking, outside.
Sure I do. I have a lot of fun doing that. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. People are very strange out there.
Do you curb him?
Do you curb him? I'm going to address, how does that feel?
It feels wonderful.
It does feel good.
I'm very proud to walk with my mistress in public when she leashes me.
Are you for real?
I am for real.
It really does feel good.
Yes.
I guess I am going to have trouble understanding it. And you are a slave.
I am Mistress Jacqueline's slave, yes.
And what does a slave do?
I do whatever my mistress desires me to do.
Such as?
run errands for her, chauffeur her around, take care of mail, run across town and pick up a pair of boots, which leaves her time to do other things.
Like?
He does my dishes too. That's wonderful. And laundry.
House cleaning.
They're good for house
A lot of
cleaning.
men do house cleaning.
My slaves always had to clean my house for me too.
Do you like
Absolutely.
to clean house?
I like to do everything I can to please my mistress.
He's well trained. This is a
Well-trained.
well trained slave.
Excellent.
I need a
slave.
volunteer myself.
Well, I have a very good husband who also helps me out a great deal, but I would never put a leash on him. That's degrading. I wouldn't feel good about
Would
myself.
you like to put a leash on him?
Never.
It's
I
very,
would
very
not feel good about
controlling.
myself doing that to another human being. That's degrading another person. I wouldn't do
I particularly would like to talk to the girl in the blonde hair. I feel very sorry for
You
you.
have two
I
blondes.
feel sorry for you because you're not
No.
as good looking as I am.
No, I mean it
Why do
sincerely.
you feel sorry for me?
Because you don't exploit me and you exploit yourself.
That's right, I do exploit
And I feel
myself.
very sorry for you that you think you need
Can't
that
you
much
exploit
attention.
yourself? Doesn't anybody want to buy?
Well, now wait.
You're
One of the
giving yourself
things.
away for free?
I've been married 20 years, extremely
Well, your
happy.
husband supports you then.
No, I support myself, ma'am. I own my own business. I'm very, very...
I own my own business. Do I tell you how to run your business?
No, I'm just telling you how I feel about you. I feel
Okay.
sorry for you.
We wanted to say something about the degradation of that to get it real clear. I know that I can speak, of course I can speak for Joseph, but I know that he's proud to be on my leash, and I'd like him to tell you that. Tell him, Joseph.
I do not feel
That's a privilege.
I do not feel degraded.
Sure.
The relationship that my mistress and I have, that we share, is one of trust, mutual trust, respect, and love.
This is a symbol.
Yeah.
It's a symbol.
This is true devotion.
Let me get to La Mystique. You are the only one, as I understand it, who gets paid to do this by the hour. How much do you charge?
I get $125 for an hour.
And you are her slave?
I am her submissive
What is the difference
and
between...
her fiancé.
Ah! Oh! What is the difference between the slave and the submissive?
Okay, basically speaking, a slave does anything and everything a mistress tells him to do, no matter what it is, what it involves, whatever the mistress deems, the slave does.
Flat.
And you're happy that way?
A submissive, which I am, okay, basically does it if he feels like doing it, if it pleases him to do it. When we are in session in the dungeon, okay, I do her desires.
Where's the
what she wants-
dungeon?
The dungeon is part of our loft. Okay, we have a room that we have spent about $7,000 on equipping for fantasies and fetishes. In that context, I do her bidding. Outside of that room, it would be a situation just like if you ask your husband to take out the garbage, sure, he'll take out the garbage.
you're
or
just-
we have a very normal
Outside the
day-to-day
dungeon, you're...
relationship.
Okay. When we return, we are going to ask you, I know you said this isn't about pain, but we're going to show you some bizarre sexual devices that would be found in the mistress dungeon, and I think you'll be shocked. What we did was we sent our producers to a dungeon in New York, and we're not going to say which dungeon, and we brought back some of these things, and I'd like you all to comment on them. This is, first of all, a wooden cross that you are seeing. What happens, any one of you, but please speak one at a time. I'm having a wild time here. Well, what happens on
Strap
the...
his hands and his feet to that.
You tie his hands and his feet to that.
Strap him in, and then whatever that you're going to do, you do it. Like one guy that I know likes to have his testicles beaten.
Okay. All right. Then there's a
I like
spanking.
to tease them on that. I like to run my fingernails all over their body lightly and really tease them and scintillate them. Yeah. That's what I do with my cross.
Now, this is a spanking bench. Is this basic paraphernalia for the dungeon? There you go, spanking bench. What happens here?
Yeah. They lean over that, and their hands and feet would be restrained. These devices, by the way, are used to heighten the experience. If you are put over one, even before you're even touched, all of a sudden you become very sexually aroused. Just by the mere fact of being on that, being restrained, gives many people a sexual thrill. Just that alone, that bondage alone will do that for them.
I think one of the biggest things about being restrained, most people who are into S&M are in, as myself, high-pressure environments. And it's a situation where you're in a lot of control constantly at work, etc. You have a lot of pressure on you. You go to see a mistress, and she takes total control for an hour, and it's like a mini vacation.
By the way, it's the professional men, the high-power businessmen, the executives, the intelligent, educated class of men that are more into kink, fetishes, and S&M and so-called perversion than the working-class guy.
There's one other piece of paraphernalia we wanted to take a look at. Somebody explain to me now what this third thing is.
That's a suspension bar or a pulley where you string them up, right side up, upside down. You can tease them, you can tickle them, and you can whip them.
Understanding that there is a full range of one's sexuality, we've asked Dr. Robert Singer, who's a psychologist, to be in the audience with us. In watching this, what are your thoughts, just very basically?
Well, lots.
That's my kind of man.
I don't think he knows anything.
You're right. This is very difficult to explain, and I don't think there's any agreement on how one can explain what the variety is that you've presented here today.
Basically, why does somebody, let's talk about the pain thing. I know they asked me to play it down, but basically, what is it that causes somebody to enjoy pain? I would think pain hurts and you wouldn't enjoy it.
Well, I think there's a range of it. Pleasure is a form of pain. And very light pleasure is on through whipping or cigarette burning or whatever people do in S&M is on the same continuum as pleasure.
Okay, is
physiologically? May I explain a little more physiologically?
Yeah,
I have some answers he might want to hear.
Yeah, just let him
get a chance to
explain the two men to us. If you have something to say about the two men who are in.
Well, I think they're very different. For example, this gentleman at the end here, the submissive, seems to be involved in compartmentalizing his sexual life and not being theatrical or Hollywood-like, which is quite different. This is theater on this side.
It's of domination, dear.
And I think that it's quite different to have a relationship in which, in my eyes, the goal of a relationship would be the mutual support and the personal growth of the members of the relationship.
Is this unhealthy, what we're seeing?
Well, what you're seeing is people who have a great deal of hurt and anger, who are punishing themselves and other people.
And what about the anger of the audience? Why is the audience always jumping on us?
Wait a minute.
What about the high
One at a time.
audience?
We have to have you talk.
They have pretty little smiles on their faces, but as soon as they ask a question, it's filled with hate. What about the hate in these people? We come out, we're
one at a time.
We're honest, they're dishonest.
All right, may I say something?
I'm going to use my stage training and get
We cannot, hold on.
I want to answer your question, Doctor.
We can't hear you because every time you talk at once, the microphones cancel themselves out. You said, what about the hate in the audience? Would you give us a sentence?
I want to tell the doctor why, because then he'll have more material to work with.
Tell him very quickly why.
All right. When you have any degree of pain, it builds up in your brain, and your brain morphizes, and you can reach a heightened state of ecstasy because your energies travel upwards instead of just out sexually. You do not feel the pain. It's a sensation that passes instantaneously. You don't know about it. You don't feel it, and there's no harm done, and there is a heightened state called ecstasy. Anyone can have an orgasm, but this ecstasy is the true point of the scene that most people don't know about, but they all think they do.
Kelly, you have a serious problem.
Would you like... like to help me with my problem?
Beautiful.
What does that do that you
This
held
is a
it?
gag. You put this in a man's...
That doesn't impress me at all. Let me tell you.
I don't want to turn you on. I want to give you what you deserve.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Then can you come back to me? Then I can go over
Kind of a bibliography. Here she is, Mistress Jacqueline, Goddess of Domination. And Mistress Kelly is featured, and yes, there are newspapers about this, and you are the important one in this particular issue. Thank you all for being with us. I hope we've learned something. Come back to us again.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by...
Who makes everything you wash soft enough to snuggle? Couldn't fool you. Only Snuggle gets your whole wash as soft as me.
Orifix Special...